Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the weekly Old School Q&A. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. I'm your host, Mod Wolf, and joining me on the stream this week, we only have 3 additional people, which is a nice little small couch, which I always enjoy. We have Mod Rock.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
And, oh my god, I forgot your name, Mod Bruno.
Wow.
It's your first name and I forgot it. I love you, Bruno. I'm so sorry, mate. It's because I nearly said Mod Gambit's real name. So, sorry about that. It still happens. It's terrible.
So, we've just leaked his name's Bruno.
Oh yeah, I've leaked, sorry. Quick announcements. First things first, this week's Q&A stream has gone back to its basics. It's nothing but questions. Questions for 60 minutes.
But not a quiz.
And there's not a quiz this week.
Just questions.
There's not a quiz. There's actually a question about this a bit further on. I'll jump to that in a second. But first, there is a sellout. There has to be a sellout. It's what funds these streams. Exclamation point RuneFest. To be able to get more information about RuneFest, we are still selling tickets. I'm going to stick by what I said previously. This year is going to be the biggest year yet for announcements for Old School. I'm saying it. I'm sticking by it. Everybody's going to be here. You guys are going, right?
Yep.
Yeah, all these guys are going. You're going as a player, I think, this year?
I'm going as a player this year.
You're going to have a nice relaxing time while we all are behind stage sweating, about to, tell everybody about
all those
Dragon Slayer 17, probably. That's the next one.
Raids 9.
For that, Raids 9. We got it. Moving on to actually, before we go on to the questions, there is one more thing we'd like to talk about as well. Tomorrow's update. Tomorrow's update is the LMS update, which you've all been working on together with the beta. Thank you so much for your feedback. Of course, all the implementation of the line of sight stuff. We can't thank you enough for that. There's going to be new rewards, of course, coming out, which have passed the poll. Several, there's 2 tradable and then several cosmetic. With that in mind, however, it's also worth pointing out that with tomorrow's blog post, we will be posting... Is it 10 additional rewards, I want to say?
I think there's 12.
There's about 12 additional rewards that we want to poll, so that there is going to be more stuff potentially coming to LMS in the future. We're still releasing LMS tomorrow, so you can gather the points in case more of those pass. So, exciting news for you guys there. And I'm going to pass it on to Mod Rock to say, we've chosen 2 of what we think are some of the cooler rewards that you guys might like to know about now, before tomorrow. So let's pass it on over to you, matey.
Yeah, so... One of the things we are polling is a possible addition to the Elder Maul to give it a slightly bit more accuracy and a bit more use with I think it's 10 attack bonus and 2 or 3 strength, something like that, just to give it a little bit to increase its use in a few places. And another one is we are going to poll a new teleport tablet, which will take you to round the fishing spots on the east side of the wilderness, around level 36. Given where all the teleports or locations you can get into the wilderness are from, they all seem to be on the western side of the wilderness, with the exception of like the Corp Cave and Greater Demons. So we wanted to kind of add another one in there, so it gives players a bit more access to the Fountain of Rune, Callisto, and Venenatis as well.
And the fish.
And the fishing spot, yeah.
So there you go. 2 of the exciting rewards coming tomorrow inside the blog post and the release post. Keep an eye out for the other 10 that will be in there. They're definitely going to be quite... it'd be interesting to see what your guys' opinions are on them. Should
we talk about some of the ones that are coming out tomorrow?
Yeah, please do.
Happy to.
Yeah, so...
Hey.
So the 2 tradable rewards that are coming out tomorrow is the new... A Swift Blade, we've called it. It is a 3-speed attack weapon with 0 stats, but it actually looks like a weapon. So for those of you that do enjoy using the 3-speed attack weapons but don't necessarily want to walk around with a ham, or I think the fish is a 3-speed as well, but it has negative stats. It's kind of like to make it a little bit more RuneScapey. And also... the Truva Parchments, which is kind of like a big deal. It certainly took most of our work on the rewards to get it done. It wasn't a small job, but...
That was almost as much work as everything else I've done for the minigame, yeah.
So the idea behind a Truva Parchment is that you take it to Purdue with the item, and what he will do is he will lock, in quotation marks, the item, so when a player uses it in the wilderness, regardless of what wilderness level they're in, when they die, they will keep the item in its unbroken form, and 75% of the cost that was used to lock it will be awarded to the PK. So allow players to take things like Full Void into the Deep Wilderness, but it will cost you 2 mil. Defenders, Inferno Capes, things like that, to give a little bit more use around some of the higher items that people want to take but don't necessarily want to get back.
If you want to see any of the other rewards that have passive cost, you can check in game on the blog. Obviously tomorrow's news post that'll be coming out. We don't want to upset I'm_Michael, who's getting very angry. We spent 5 minutes without asking questions, so we're going to jump straight into those right now to keep Michael happy. Don't worry, mate, we've got your back. Don't worry.
Michael.
Sorry, Michael. So let's move on to the first question. Oh, before we do that, sorry, Michael. At Old School RS, if you have any questions from the chat, our wonderful mod Maz will be collecting those and putting them on my iPad. I hope that was okay. Sorry, Michael. Right, let's move on to the first question coming from Sloth Says What? It's not Michael. From Sloth Says What? What is the team's opinion on more best in slot or close to it non-tradable gear abilities that come from questing activities? Barrow's Gloves is one of the few items that is memorable and an accomplishment because after Recipe for Disaster, it's extremely easily accessible.
The problem with them coming from quests is obviously, yeah, you get this great new item at the end, but there's no kind of like ability to trade them with the players as well, so there's no real money to be made from it in that kind of way. So I think it's good to have a healthy mix of some that are and some that aren't, or in our case, most of them that aren't and the one that is.
I think we've got a good balance right now in terms of free to play, tradable and non-tradable items.
Especially as now we've got slightly more extensive mechanics for what the untradeable ones do when you die with them. Like these parchments coming out tomorrow.
Cool, fantastic. Next question from host Okra. They ask, would you be willing to run suggestion contests with the player base, such as an item sync suggestion contest?
As long as the contest didn't determine that it was something that we had to do and we polled it by the player base first and stuff like that.
If it was like the player design content things we've done before, where the player's favourite idea was the one that got put to the 75% yes or no vote, which gave us a Motherload Mine and Rooftop Agility, and gave us the Artisan skill as well, which didn't pass its 75% poll in the end, so we didn't see that again. I think that's where it came from.
Cool. Thoughts?
Frankly, I was just quite fond of those anyway.
Yeah. There's definitely some good ideas by the community. We've seen lots of them. For example, the Zaya redesign, that by itself was very much like helped by the community and shaped how the community wanted it to be shaped.
Yeah. It's just the next level on top of the fact that we not only just poll what comes in, but then polling what we poll to put in. It's like the next tier, which is pretty good. Then we can start doing polls to determine what we're going to do a player design contest poll on. And we do like 3 tiers up and we just keep going.
Jest, but it could be a genuine thing for, would you like it to be this topic, that topic, or some other topic?
No, I'm not kidding.
Poll a theme and then poll the suggestions and then poll the...
And then we have a nice little backlog as well of things that were rated in order.
We could have a straw poll now about whether they like the idea
of
any of this.
Any PDC in general, do you think?
That I was mostly being facetious.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe not then. Sorry, Maz jumped on. I saw she loaded up the page. She was going out there. We'll get a straw poll in at some point, Maz. Remember, at Old School RS, if you do have questions for us from the chat. Next question from Unlikely Island. They ask, oh, this is about the quiz thing earlier that I mentioned earlier. I like the idea of doing quizzes on the Q&A, but the last few streams have seemed kind of lackluster. Very few questions seem to get answered. So if you want to keep doing quizzes, can they be done in another stream or after the hour of Q&As? So, yes, we are aware of your feedback, which is why this stream is going to be essentially 55 minutes of questions. Today we're going back to our roots. I don't think it's wrong to say that some people enjoy those streams. People enjoy getting free membership. That being said, we're also very aware that people don't really want it to be eating into their Q&A time. So we will probably continue doing quizzes, probably more sporadically first of all, and also we're looking at doing them in separate dedicated slots in the future as well. So don't worry, we have heard your feedback for that. Thank you so much for that, by the way. They were tryouts specifically for this reason. Straw poll question, should we have a straw poll? Yes at 52%, definitely at 10% and absolutely at 37%. Thank you very much for that, ModMaz. Yes, there you go, there's your answer to that question. Next from Lonely Beer, nobody likes a lonely beer. What happened to the personal projects of the OSRS developers? Mod Ed mentioned them being cancelled in 2018 in the dev blog posted earlier today, which was first they heard about their removal.
Which is funny considering what you talk about.
Yeah. So I think what this is referring to is that back in
finish the question.
Get a bit early.
Why were these cancelled, and what, if anything, replaced them?
So yeah, there was a thing back in 2018 where we lost our tap time for a period. Where tap technically stands for Thursday All Day Personal Projects, but we did ours on a Friday. I'll let you say what we named it in house. But essentially, what we did, it was to more focus on the objectives and things that we wanted to get from the game. Now, staff members are welcome to continue to do them in their free time, and in fact, we do allocate some of our regular development time to be able to come up with these ideas now. For instance, Last Man Standing is actually a personal project that I started back in April and comes out tomorrow. So we'd still do them. I just don't think they're as in your face and as known as they were previously.
Yes, we do not tap in your face quite so much.
And Premonic Exiles, of course, is coming as well, was also that project.
Most definitely.
Yeah, they still exist, don't worry.
Theatre of Blood was an idea from a personal project day.
Yeah, that was Chris's.
The Inferno, did that?
I can't remember.
There's definitely content that comes from the ideas that we create.
We
some slightly less hypeable ones. The bit where sometimes we send an in-game broadcast that you can click to open a link, that was one of mine. It wasn't as exciting as Last Man Standing, but it's got its use.
It was sure helpful and did well for the dev post numbers.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think that the amount of people that read our dev post literally
tripled.
I think it quintupled actually. 5 times more people were reading our news posts based on that, because when you log in, obviously it prompts you to read our new post. So please do also keep doing that. That's fantastic.
Fossil Island came from a tap project.
We got
so we do them. We just end up filtering them into our regular schedule.
It's a bit unsure about that one.
It came from a tap project 15 years ago.
It was a personal project back then.
That wasn't. It was official design.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
TIL.
So not Fossil Island then. Cool. So there's the answer to that question. Next question from Nea Reborn. They ask, with warding not passing the poll, has this freed up a lot of time throughout the team? What's going on, and what's that time being used for instead?
It didn't actually use a lot of the team's time in the first place. I think that's quite a common misconception. That everyone thought all of us were going in with trying to get warding out to you guys to review, etc. But it only really involved a couple of people, the designer, a community manager who was dealing with the news posts.
Who was doing other things as well at the same time.
And then occasionally meetings would be called to kind of discuss ideas, and even then they wouldn't last that long.
And quite a lot of the team didn't go to them.
Yes.
Correct. So it's generally been business as usual in terms of content and updates, which obviously, not to sound like I'm a broken record, but Last Man Standing allowed us to do that as well. And
it's not, for the record, it's not to say that warding didn't have a lot of time. That's not saying, it was just kind of underhand kind of thing. But in comparison to most designs that we've done, it's had the most, I'd say. Some of the most, but some of the most of a little time is still not a lot of time kind of thing, right? It's not like it had prototypes and it was, developed in halfway and anything like that.
The lead designer on it happens to be a rather good artist, so he tended to produce graphics to express himself a lot.
Which are all done in personal project time.
Indeed. One thing that did have a lot of actual meetings and brainstorming was Fossil Island itself, where Maz shared a whole series of meetings for people well outside the Old School team, but people across the studio getting to come and share ideas and throw in so many concepts, what we could do, what we might do, just anything, so that we could select from a pretty wide library of concepts to make the actual blog. And
I'm still upset with one of the things that we didn't manage to get in Fossil Island because of dev. We had a ton of ideas we didn't end up doing. Can I mention one, Maz?
Which one?
I've got my
The one that starts with A?
Yes, the one that starts with A. We had this really cool idea, we just didn't have the dev time to do it at the time, because you can iterate on something forever, there's millions of designs.
Yes.
But we had this cool idea where the volcano on Fossil Island, we were going to introduce some form of abseiling, and it would be like you avoid rockfalls and you climbed. It was like an agility course where it was kind of like an improved agility pyramid that gave you agility, and I think it gave you thieving experience. Yeah, you were stealing from birds' nests and stuff. I thought it was a pretty cool idea. I quite liked abseiling, but didn't come to be. Alas, there we go. Maybe one day in the future, we'll see. Yeah, little spoiler, some of the stuff that we sometimes don't end up getting around to do. Next question, guys, you wanna?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, right.
Cool, from Alex, they ask, can we possibly have a deposit pet button similar to the deposit all buttons that exist within the bank, I guess, just so, in case you want
The bottom bar is getting a little full, but I don't have a problem with it in principle.
Yeah. On the assumption that it's obviously going to be toggleable, sure, why not?
All the other ones are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see myself running into it that often, but I can get why it's annoying because you open your bank, you deposit everything, and they're like, oh wait, I got a pet out. So you get your pet out, put it in the bank, just repeat everything.
I could see it being useful in the deposit boxes too, because the fact that there's one sitting right outside last man standing where you currently want to deposit your whole inventory until tomorrow.
Where it won't matter.
Yeah, you'll still want to deposit your pet.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Next question from Artillery. They ask, will there ever be a sync for extra god pages and blessings? Maybe they can be used on a base god book or blessing to imbue it with charges for minor stat increases. Charges used per attack while it's worn. That's his suggestion. Or her suggestion.
I don't think the books themselves really. Some of the books aren't as great as the others, so you will take like the Book of Lore over, perhaps like the Zam book or whatever, depending on what you're doing. But I don't think the other ones are good enough to need a buff, to be honest.
This isn't really going to help much. It's only really going to help Iron Men who have got duplicates and people who are hoarding Bandos pages, because the Bandos book's quite useless.
I do want to use for those pages.
Yeah.
I just haven't heard a good enough thing yet. Other than there was that spell idea where you consume one and you get enchanted by that god for like 30 minutes, so that you're not attacked in God Wars. But that's such a niche thing. Yeah. It's as cool and thematic as it is. It's just not going to sync them out quick enough.
Maybe a sort of Herbler update where you kind of roll them into a tube and use it with herbs. No? Okay.
To make burnt pages.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any? Did somebody just say that sounds too private servery?
What, to being able to burn a page for god protection?
Yeah. How does that sound private?
I don't know why they would want to protect you if you're burning was one of their
Maybe you get the opposite one. You burn Saradome and Zamorak Architecture. There you go. There's your thematics. We have some weird stuff in our game. Sometimes I see some things and I go, that seems a little like something that we wouldn't make. But then sometimes I'm just like, you know, to be fair, we're in a game where you cut open something and you find topple.
We've covered a lot of firelighter colours already, but using god pages to make new kinds of firelighter is remarkably tempting.
And the problem is that the firelighters don't really have a use at the moment.
But what if the god firelighters, when you used it on a log, gave you prayer and fire making XP when you lit the log? Oh, he's done it! That's it, that's live design on stream. It's coming out next week, next Thursday.
Well, it looks like you're coding it.
It's not coming out next
personal project time.
But yeah, okay, well, let's move on from that one then. There's lots of chat questions, so I'm going to go ahead and jump onto them. Thank you very much, Modmans, for gathering some of these. We don't have names of these ones, but first question is, how are you going to stop completionist clans boosting LMS for rewards?
So the rewards from Last Man Standing will not actually appear on the collection log. The reason for this is that because they can be sold back to the shop for a number of points back, we felt that it wasn't particularly, it's not a mechanic that we like. Unfortunately, Castle Wars already had it. So when we went with the release, that was what happened. But yeah, so if you're going for the collection log, then nothing from LMS will come. If you just want the items for the sake of saying them, having them, then if it becomes problematic, we will look to see what we can do in the future.
I suppose we could have always taken away the refund option, but mostly when we have a minigame shop without a refund option, people really, really want one, and it seemed best to prioritise that one than to prioritise the collection log. Trouble is, the two don't go very well on the same shop.
There will also only be one Members World.
This is
to
also-
revert back to. So the worlds are going to be going back to what they were pre-beta release. If we feel we need more, we will happily add more. But the idea is that we're going back. So to start with, there will be one members world. So the chances of you being able to get enough people in to kind of do that will be very little, I'd expect.
Cool. Another chat question. Can you please add quantity buttons to the desktop version of the bank deposit box? It's very handy on mobile. I thought it was already...
No, I think that was done
Oh.
with just a mobile thing without affecting the desktop version of the game. And yeah, we can pull it for desktop.
Yeah, sure.
Probably very easily.
Yeah. There's probably more code in it to stop it from appearing than there is
Yes.
to make it appear.
Mind you, I don't recall which of our devs put those buttons there. If it's one of the current ones, it's probably fine, but some of the work done for interfaces last year was not... needed a bit of reworking when we came to do it to the main bank.
Cool. Another chat question. Could we get an agility shortcut to Odell in Shiloh Village as a run up the wall or something east of the gem mine?
But
There's a ladder.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, you mean so that you don't have to hop over and then...
Can you not go
Well, you
up
can-
and then go across the bridge though?
well, no, you can't. So the ways to get to Odell now is either teleport directly with the gloves, or teleport to the gem mine with the gloves and then run over the agility shortcut, which is now a medium diary requirement.
Yeah,
As
just-
opposed to used to be an elite.
Yeah.
Or you can just run over the bridge that's right next to you. Like there is a plethora of ways that you can do it. I don't see how another
No, I
shortcut
agree.
is really going to help.
Do the elite
Yeah.
if you want it that bad. If you really want to care about shaving off those couple of seconds.
Yeah, but Wolf,
Or just do the medium and hop over.
RC bad.
RC bad. Slayer good. I've got it. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that Reddit karma? Is that good?
You can have an upvote from me.
Great, fantastic.
Odell's in the chat and has opinions.
Is he? Perfect. Love it. No, one more chat question. I'll jump back to the main questions. Can you add a travel option to the rowboat on Lunar Isle to get back to Relica?
Well, that seems fair.
Why a rowboat? There's a boat there.
Well, going via the Moss Giant the island is slightly annoying.
Oh, all the way. Right, that makes sense. Sounds good. Like that.
Do you need another reward for Fremnik Exiles?
No. No. We're good.
Worth. The bit where you could take away your seal of passage and get the bankers to just hoof you off off the island with magic doesn't work if you've got a certain diary done, because you don't need to see the passage and they won't hoof you anymore. We proposed at one point that we had a portal to that bank because it's a magical town. They are actually allowed to have a teleport feature that would be available with that diary as a one-click exit, and that might actually be more convenient than the boat, because people who can just take off their seal of passage will still be able to get back faster by just having a character from the island hoof them. Is the word hoof causing controversy or something?
Question about Fremnik Exiles. I'm saying I honestly couldn't tell you when it's coming. We're not fully done with it yet, and the poll hasn't happened yet too. That will be happening, I believe, this week. End of this week, I think.
I think so.
I can't promise. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to Ibiza tomorrow, so I've kind of washed my hands for the next 2 days to ensure that I can not worry about work while I'm away. But I'm pretty sure the poll will be coming out at the end of this week, and it'll be going over the weekend, as most of our larger polls do.
Soon TM.
Yeah.
Soon TM, yes. So, yeah. Yeah. And of course, obviously, your guys' feedback has already been noted down on the blog post. If you check it, you can see what's changed on there.
I think it's pretty darn soon, because we've got the poll booth booked thereafter for LMS rewards again.
Yes. So expect it probably near the end of this week. Mod Acorn will be able to let us know at some point. So I'm going to move on from the chat questions. Thank you so much for those, guys. If you want more chat questions, please do at Old School RS if you want yours to be read out. I'm going to jump back to the pre-made questions. Well, sorry, pre-found, not pre-made. We didn't write these. We got them from the Reddit thread and from Twitter. Scripted, by the way.
By Michael.
Yes. Thanks, Michael. Warzaz asks, are there any plans on any new prayer gear? I don't have any suggestions in particular. I just think Proselyte and God Vestments being top tier doesn't fit the leveling/achievement standpoint.
I mean, Proselyte itself is very useful.
Yeah. It is quite strong for how cheap it is as well.
Yeah.
I think best in slot for mage tasks if you don't hone ancestral, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I really would like to do a slug sequel, that sort of would imply Acolyte. Of course, Proselyte being, as you say, pretty good for what it is, means we don't necessarily want to go very further up with Acolyte.
It's kind of weird. Yeah. I think we'd have to do something a little bit different instead of just plus an extra 5 prayer, because we're already at a point where it's really slow if you do Proselyte. We'd probably have to end up doing something jazzy, like there'd be Dark Acolyte and Light Acolyte, and you know, certain prayers are affected in different ways if you wear this full set, and if you wear this full set, these set of prayers work differently, as in protection prayers work differently, or this prayer works differently, etc. But yeah, don't really know.
Who was it was talking about something where it benefits you if you're using the right prayer and hurts you if you're using the wrong prayer?
That was a discussion that we had earlier based on one of the rewards that was suggested for Last Man Standing. It was a upgrade to the Brimstone Ring that is more for hybriding, where if your opponent is on the right prayer or the wrong prayer, you do more damage and vice versa.
Oh, I like that.
That'd be fascinating.
Yeah, so basically it was to
It rewards good.
Yeah, but also penalises you if...
That's really good. I like that. Next question from Ultimate Ironman Herblaw. They ask, can Divine Potions be given a buff to the experience given when creating? Currently it's only 0.5 XP per dose, and it seems extremely low.
I think they were intentionally given low XP so that people wouldn't abuse it, because they can very easily just like spam shards, not shards, dust onto potions, which is just buy. So if you were to give them like a few hundred XP per like potion, that would be quite a lot.
Does it not use the same system as like Zulrah Scales and adding amylase?
I think so.
I think so.
I think the worry was also the fact that it adds, especially for Iron Men in particular, ironically, they've got stacks of potions already saved up that they're never going to use, and if you've essentially got the ability to upgrade them straight up, it's just too much free experience injection. Well, it's not free, then you get the shards, but they've just got that laying there ready to do, right? I think that was why, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be, though.
To 1 XP instead of 0.5.
Yeah. Double the XP.
I think it's a no.
It's not that kind of string.
Yeah.
Lunch Zero Guy asks, no, I read the wrong question. Otters Are Cute asks, can Golden Tench be moved to the Offhand slot? It's clear that it's not meant to be used as a weapon, seeing as it's had offensive stats nerfed almost immediately, and the weapon slot is already chock full of Fashionscape items, but the shield slot is lacking. Lastly, it would allow you to equip it with a weapon slot fishing rod that came out at the same time, which I think would look great.
Aren't its stats standard for the things in the fun category?
It's a standard fun weapon, yeah.
Sticking it in the offhand slot is, well, I'm sure it's possible if the artists change its model to go on the other side, although that may not give quite what it was meant to be for. It's meant to be just like a rubber chicken, but fish. For pescatarians.
It's one of those, it could be done if people truly wanted it, but it doesn't sound like there's much of a desire, I think.
And of course, if you do a thing like that to the item that players already have equipped, you end up with some interesting stuff on login.
Cool. Robotic Pegleg asks, can we have more trophy hotspots in the skill hall? There's currently a couple of hot spotless walls and a massive number of slayer heads that can be obtained. Would you consider adding a hunter trophy hotspot in the skill hall to revitalise some lesser used hunter methods, example pit traps? So that's 2 questions, sorry.
I'm pretty sure it can accommodate another hotspot.
I'm surprised that that's we've had a previous request where it was put it on the slot and you could rotate, like the garden.
I like that one.
I think I prefer that one.
Yeah, for the heads for sure. But if there is another thing that players would like to show off in their trophy room, then I think back in 2016 we added the expansion to have at least 1 more. I think we went from 7 to 8.
Yep, and for what it's worth, I could have gone further.
I think we have went further in 1 room. I have a feeling we hit 9 at one point.
Somebody else may have done that since.
I think so.
I doubt they've taken it all the way to capacity. I'm guessing, but I doubt they have.
Hunter Rug as a trophy sounds like a cool idea. I like the idea of just like a kayak on the floor with his head like.
And since they're all virtual, no actual cruelty is involved.
But yeah, it's not real. It's pretend. They just respawn. It's fine.
RuneScape's not real.
Sorry to disappoint. Zeusto asks, can Revenant Caves have some sort of requirement added to limit scouting? Perhaps the medium Wilderness Diary was suggested.
Last time I discussed that with a player, they concluded it probably wasn't going to help very much because the requirements could be got and the account wasn't going to go anywhere. But I don't have a problem with doing it.
I'm a bit in two minds about this one when I read the question earlier. So I was cheeky and had a look. Having low-level accounts like that in various places to kind of look for targets has always kind of been a thing.
It's a thing, although it's a very powerful, effective thing these days.
I was going to say build a low-level 20 to 30 combat pure that can take those guys out. Or
Yeah. Although for nothing, because we won't be risking anything.
It's very much where I'd go with the player base on this, but personally I'm kind of like, is it something that really should be changed? If you stop people from scouting in one area, do you then say, oh, can you not let a level 1 account at Gorok?
I think the problem might not be legitimate players scouting, which is why they might be requesting something like a diary entry requirement to limit the possibility of creating those accounts. In a similar akin to when we block things like box traps to make them a bit harder to get.
If people find there is a genuine issue as a result, then. But
it does come up occasionally. I would not object to doing it.
I think I agree on that one. I'm going to jump onto the chat questions again. So at Old School RS, if you have any questions that you want to be asked. Chat questions are always lucky dips, and I never read them beforehand, so I'm always nervous I'm going to read something out that's like a really poor suggestion. So no pressure, but I'm going to ask Modmaz to also start gathering names as well, so that if there is a bad question, it's on you. So first question is, can we make the auto chat not able to be filtered? There is currently no chance to complete the house host with our chatbot, as everyone has it filtered on by default. And then I have a message from Modmaz here that says, plug the house interface. Of course, the house interface passed a poll. When did it pass?
July, I thought.
July. Modmaz has finished the work on that. It's now within QA, so we're hoping to get that out within the next few weeks. You've tweeted out pictures already, I believe. So at JagXMaz, if you'd like to check those out, where you can assign yourself, you can write yourself up as a house owner. It shows what tier your altar is, what tier your lectern is, and your portal nexus, and all the jazz that you want to know from people. And all the way to the right, there's a button that lets you enter their house in particular, and it'll remember that house.
If you're at the portal of that location.
Yeah, providing you're at the correct portal. You can't teleport to Remington if you're in Poland of Nietzsche, for example.
Although why you would be there is another matter entirely.
Yeah. If the house isn't at the location you are, it has a 3-letter word code as well, so I'll tell you where to go.
A 3-letter word. Now, what might that turn out to be?
Well, I'm not going to let the players guess what Remington might be.
So moving on to the next question from the chat. Can the moss giants in the wilderness drop the mossy keys at half the rate like hill giant keys? On a side note, can the oh, actually, let's do that question first.
I was going to say, I looked into that and found there's already a double drop rate for being on task. So if we do it for the wilderness, it's going to be pretty darn good if you're on task and you go in the wilderness. We might actually be all right with that, I don't know, but...
I think this is to make mossy keys a little more viable for the Iron Men that are now getting the Briarfighter essence for the clues.
I'm not too upset at that possibility, to be honest with you. That sounds pretty good. He also says, on a side note, can the moss boss... If you put on a side note, it doesn't change the fact that it's another question for the record. On a side note, can the moss boss also always drop the Ensoul giant head like the giant boss?
Don't have a problem with that either.
I think that
seems fair.
Also makes sense and consistent. Yeah.
It's possible that the dev who made the moss one didn't know what the previous one was doing for it. In fact, on launch, I think the dev who made the original giant boss thought it was giving a guaranteed head every time, then found it wasn't because the heads were disabled in instance areas.
Of course.
We hotfixed that.
Can the bar crawl minigame be updated to include the new pub in Lumbridge?
While it can, that will not affect people who've already done it.
We could have them tick it off anyway for funsies to prove that you're a real barbarian.
It will effectively show that they have done it, even though they never personally did. And or we end up having to handle that players get to restart a bit of the bar crawl, but still have the rewards but can just tick this one thing off to make it go green on the list or whatever. This seems like a surprising amount of dev work for not a huge benefit.
Something tells me there's a player that just enjoys watching the world burn and wants to pour salt in a wound.
I agree. This is what I mean by, this is the problem with chat questions. They're always a little random tombola.
I'm going to say that one was from Michael.
Sometimes you get good ones, sometimes they're not so great.
And Michael from upstairs, if you're listening, I'm very sorry.
Not that Michael.
Not that Michael. I didn't want to, I've skipped this question in the chat question list, because I did skim read through it, but it has been put on my list. So I'm going to read it out. I know what your response is going to be to this one, I think. Just let them have this, okay? What do you think about an idea called rune shrines? They work kind of like birdhouses, but instead located on Lunar Island, give runes and rune crafting XP. Whereas you build altars and get construction or smithing XP. As an introduction, Baba Yaga calls for your aid with scrolls she has found.
Would you like to put this on?
Can you bludgeon me with this, please?
I was going to just put this on him.
I read it beforehand and knew that would be the response.
Well, that goes to a certain type of suggestion of the week.
I'm guessing that's a hard no from everyone.
Yeah, that's most certainly is.
Yeah. Birdhouses, just as a note, I think birdhouses are kind of nice, but I think we're very aware that they are relatively powerful and become a meta for certain player types as well. And yeah, I think we've learned from our lesson with birdhouses that maybe in the future we're not going to do that exact kind of content again, especially with something like rune crafting. This is why you need to take names, Maz.
As I say,
because we could have called them out, but we can't call them out anymore now.
The bit that makes me
Bad connotations last time.
the bit that makes me chuckle is obviously we announced the requirements for Fremdek Exiles as well, and there was a few comments about it having 55 rune crafting. I had a look. 55 rune crafting is 160k XP. If you get access to Fossil Island and train your account on Fossil Island and collect the fossils, you can do 120k XP of that already. Then add in a few quests that give XP lamps on rewards above level 20 and you're done.
But RC bad. Yes. I'm sorry. It was on the list and it was annoying me because it wasn't ticked off yet. So there you go. There's your question asked.
Rune crafting is 48k an hour at level 90. You're training it wrong.
What's the room?
Wow.
They're not really training it if it's getting 48k, because I'm guessing they're doing
I was going to
souls.
say, you're not doing something right.
They're not really training it, they're just doing souls, which is like very FK.
What's the room beside Saradomin God War's room when you zoom out? What was that room originally? I think I know what this answer is, but I think you can answer
the
this.
underwater passage between... you know when you go into the... to get into the Zamorak bit, you swim through some water. The original plan was that you'd go into the water and have to swim through an underwater passage, and there'd be creatures there, and fish were made for it,
including anglerfish,
which we stole the graphic from. And I think we used some of the underwater graphics as well for the Kraken boss cave. Anywho, that was the original plan. The dev didn't proceed with it, but the graphics still existed, and it was all mapped just south of the Saradomin area because, you know, it's kind of down from Zamorak, so why not put it there? They could have put it somewhere else. Heck, we could have removed it before we launched the God Wars dungeon, but frankly, we kind of liked it.
It's very nostalgic.
It's been a nice conversation point all this time.
Yeah.
It's not something we're planning on doing a lot with right now, but it remains an option. And of course, we've nicked a few graphics from it over the years.
Cool. Next question asks, will the new Nate's Not Helm upgrade be from a new boss or just after completion of the quest? You don't just get it by completing the quest, it's not handed to you. You'll have to kill the new Slayer creature, the Basilisk Knight, and it will have a drop rate. The drop rate is lower and higher work both the same way in this, but in the sense that if you're on Slayer task, you will get it more commonly, the unique drop required to create the helmet. If you're off task and just trying to farm them, similar to Hydras, you're unlikely to get the attachment as frequently, like substantially less frequently. So yeah, that's how that works. Mace30, oh, we've got names now. Ooh, it's exciting. Mace30 asks, can we get a way to obtain the dragon pickaxe other than wilderness bosses? The dragon axe can be gotten through the winter tod, but nothing like that for the pickaxe, such as possibly adding the reward to volcanic mine or Volcano, etc.
While I do not particularly like that the mining item comes from a completely unrelated boss, I also prefer not to take a wilderness only feature and make it accessible elsewhere.
I agree.
Well, you could kill KBD for it as well, where the boss itself is in a safe area, so that's a bit easier for you.
I think my main problem with this is the dragon axe is very easy to get. You can just kill Dagonless Kings, which is like, it was hard 10 years ago, but it's not really hard anymore, which is why it's so cheap.
You can safe spot one of them.
Yeah, literally. Whereas like the dragon pickaxe, it's pretty damn rare from the safe KBD, and if you want it, you'll have to go to the wilderness and do wilderness bosses, which is quite dangerous and keeping its price. I don't really see it keeping such a stable high price if we added it to like volcanic mine, for example. So I quite like it how it is right now.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like the suggestions that the you know, the Fountain of Rune, you can charge things a bit higher, and we've never let people do exactly that with the guy who combines charges outside the wilderness, and we're keeping it that way.
Yeah, sounds good. I do prefer when there's names, because now there's a person that the chat can be upset with, and as opposed to us asking the question.
They have an interesting name.
This one actually is difficult to pronounce, but this is a good question, and it's one that you might like to answer. JRKX asks, what happened to coloured hit splats? Any update?
So, as I tweeted a few weeks back, I've made quite a lot of progress on that one. It's not a small job. One of the things I have to do is change all the custom damage scripts for NPCs across the whole game to use a new format that can take into it who did the damage in a different form to what we used to have, so that that person can be shown a different coloured splat to any other player who sees a splat, so that you can see which one's your splat, which one's someone else's splat. I like the word splat. And there's well over 100 other things. They take a while to do manually, and I don't really want to mess one up. So, especially as I keep running into new ones turning up, like Volcano. Anyhow, so I may be a while on that one, especially as I'm currently doing this minigame job, and for somebody else's personal project, I might mention.
How many times can we sell out LMS in the industry?
Coming to a game tomorrow near you.
Hey, I got no problem with doing the minigame. It's been a lot of fun, and I think Maz worked very happily on it too. She's nodding. So yeah, I'm afraid I'm not there with the hit splat job yet, and it might need a fair bit of testing when it's done.
Right. Next question from Travis. They ask, using scales on blowpipe and serpelm defaults using all scales. Can we choose how many to put in?
I'd see that as more annoying, to be honest, because then every single time you want to put scales in, you have to type out how many you want.
I was going to say, just withdraw the right amount from the bank, perhaps.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It'll save you more clicks in the long run if you withdraw X rather than having to type in X.
Oh, I guess Ultimate Iron Man is the only exception there. They're not wrong. Ultimate Iron Man will struggle to do that. But I think they can deposit X and withdraw X amount within their wilderness pouch, can't they?
Yeah.
Surely?
I think so,
I thought so, yeah. So there is ways to do it for Ultimate Iron Man. For regular players, though, I think it's just one of those that's more convenient to use directly on the helm and use all.
I'm trying to think how we'd do it without some sort of weird toggle system.
And at the point where there is a weird toggle system, then I'd rather not.
As if on cue somebody said, a toggle maybe in the chat.
Well, it could be that if you get if it brings up a input field for typing in the number and you just press enter, it could accept that to mean 0 and interpret it specially for this situation to act like you meant all of them.
What about if you, instead of naturally players use the scale on the blowpipe?
Yeah.
What about if we made it work for specifically if you use the blowpipe on the scales, it gives you the custom entry field?
Oh.
I think I'd rather it just be the withdraw option could allow you to withdraw X amount.
I'd like it to be a feature ultimately where it's not obscure to players who didn't see the live stream where we kind of designed it.
Yeah,
that would be obscure.
I think the closest would be you can withdraw X amount instead of withdrawal automatically. At least then there's some way of doing it. But even then, it's quite a niche problem, I think. And that can be worked around specifically for those particular people who need that niche problem solving. So summary on that one, guys? Yes, no, maybe so?
I think we're on a kind of maybe here.
I was going to say the effort involved for the benefit it gives is...
For me personally, it's a no. I don't see much benefit in it, where you can just right-click, withdraw how many ever scales you want from the bank.
Cool. Error Monster has a follow-up question to the hit splat response that you gave, Ash. Should the game not already know who is doing the damage in order to award drops?
The game knows at the end of the creature's life who did most damage, with the usual Iron player checks, by the way. But that's not the same as being able to identify at the time of the damage being applied for the purpose of the hit splat. For that, the only thing the game's currently got is the ID of the last person to hit the creature, which may not be where there's lots of people present. That may have been changed to somebody else by now. So we've had to change the format of the damage applying queues. Sorry.
Cool.
Trust me, I'm not doing it for fun.
Jules OW asks, can you make the crystal pickaxe better than the dragon pickaxe for Guardians in Chambers of Zurich?
I think there was a reason for not doing this.
Somebody went to a lot of trouble to make it not happen, because if they just created a new pickaxe, the Chambers of Zurich code would have seen that it had higher params and made it better automatically. Somebody went in and overrode that to make it not happen, which suggests it was extremely deliberate.
I can't remember what the reason was. I'm pretty sure I've had the discussion with Modcast about it when it was in development, but I think it was something to make it not so that the crystal was an absolute requirement for top end teams, especially with Iron Men.
Would do that.
Yeah.
But without asking him again, I don't know.
So it's not something we're going to promise to undo behind their back, whoever it was.
But it may be worth perhaps us questioning why they did it and see if there is any movement or possibility of
Maybe changing it with pass a poll.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly it does come up as a complaint a lot that it still uses charges even though it does not give a benefit. I'd queried that one and was reminded that you are still using the thing even if it's not giving a special benefit for you using it, so it will degrade from the use, and if you should have chosen something else, I think that's what you're meant to do.
Cool. I'm going to move on to the Reddit and Twitter questions again. Thank you for all those chat questions. At Old School RS, if you want any more to be answered, I might ask a couple more before the end of the stream. We have another 12 minutes. But I'm going to get through the rest of these questions first. From Sea Slurp, they ask, now that Captain Barnaby travels between Rimington as well as between Ardoyne and Brimhaven, you can no longer pay fare with one click. Could you think about adding a right-click travel option to the destination similar to Veos?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I really like that.
You know
tell them what you've been testing?
No, that's such a good idea. Let's have it out tomorrow because it's already done.
And he's tested it.
Yeah. Don't blame a finger on me. There's only 6 ways that it can work, so I hope it's not broken. That would be embarrassing. But yeah, so that's coming out tomorrow. Next question from Penny. Oh, I've already asked. Oh, no, I haven't. It's another Penny question. Penniless asks, any plans to add a use for player excess Hespori seeds? For people who farm regularly, it's very easy to build up more Hespori seeds than one could ever use. Maybe the Slayer Masters or Baba Yaga would be interested in them somehow, or perhaps we can trade them for seeds at random.
We could do something like what we did at Wintertod when you get excess Wintertod pieces and it gives you a roll on the table of a standard seed pack.
I think that sounds...
Would that work?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
That sounds about right to me. That's what I would have suggested. I mean, there is only one patch to use them at the end of the day, and if you're getting more than you're using...
What about if we made those seeds perhaps have the chance of also giving the White Lily and the Iasor that Hesperia already has the chance of gives. The Yasor, however it's pronounced,
Yasor.
it's Iasor.
Yeah, I suppose I'd never expected it to be pronounced that way, but I suppose it is, yeah.
And yeah, perhaps add those on, have like a custom seed roll for it.
That's awesome.
I think it sounds good. That makes sense.
That wasn't intentional.
Oh, I know. Cool.
Cool. All right, now I'll move on to the next question from Rallus Fatalis. They ask, can the process of chiseling limestone into limestone bricks be automated, but not as fast as if it was to be done manually? Same idea of chiseling dark essence and all the other stuff.
That should be fine. It's generally gone down all right when we've done that before, because it doesn't stop anyone doing what they were doing, but it does mean that if you don't mind waiting, you can save yourself the clicking.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And we've done it for things that are a lot more XP relevant than that.
For sure. Next question from MyLife212. They asked, assuming the Fremenic Exiles passes, when should we expect it in game? Again, I don't really have an exact time frame on that one, but presumably within the next, let's say 3 to 6 weeks. That sounds like a reasonable estimate. Sounds about right?
Soon TM.
Yeah, soon TM. Tooth of Wisdom asks, could the clear redwood option on the patch in the Farming Guild be moved down the list of options, or alternatively removed? Clearing the patch requires paying Alexandra anyway, and it's easy to misclick when trying to climb up the rope ladder.
Depends what the other options are doing.
Mm.
I don't use redwood
Yeah,
seeds.
me neither. I've never really used that tree especially. I'm
sure we can manage it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that it's there.
I always just pay for my tree to be removed because I don't need the roots, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
A very solid answer coming from our representatives today. That's definitive, maybe.
Little known and useless fact, when they originally made farming, there were different types of...
I thought you were going to say something different there. I was really worried you were going to leak something that we shouldn't say about... Okay, continue.
Now I'm curious. Anyway, there was meant to be different leaves from different types of tree that you trim off when the trees gets diseased, and they still exist. We've never made them accessible to players because farming was launched with you just getting the same kind of leaf, but there is scope for the thing. The items already exist for most trees, not for redwood though. Yeah. No, I don't actually want to do anything with this anyway. Yeah, do carry on. Yeah, maybe we can find out what it was I didn't leak.
Well, sometimes...
Sure that wasn't what you were worried
No, that wasn't it. Sometimes when content goes live, there are sometimes bugs, of course, and sometimes we find those bugs that are in live before players are aware those bugs exist, and sometimes we're happy that we find them before you guys find them, because it would have been very awkward had it not have been, despite it being found. Let's just say I'm very happy that redwood trees take days to grow. Otherwise, we would have potentially have had an issue. Let's move on to the next question. This one's coming from OSRS Lad. Would it be possible to OSRS Lad? Would it be possible to content lock some bosses such as Zulrah and Corp? I wouldn't mind having to get slightly more requirements if it helps assist with the areas of dodgy accounts used there.
Well, Sport Team does occasionally ask us to do such things, and I have no doubt they will ask us again if they want more.
I didn't. In RuneScape, Corp had a combat requirement of 90, I believe, originally.
Yes. I also had a quest.
I had a quest, yeah.
2 quests.
Yeah, 2 quests, which were somewhat lengthy and quite wilderness-based.
I mean, I don't know why you'd go into Corp less than level 90, but sure.
Yeah. Maybe just as a range PR or something, yeah.
I think this is potentially a nice straw poll one in general, because we do these quite frequently, and to be honest with you, I think the community generally likes it when we add things which block off content from being as easily accessible for things that particularly are usually botted or dodgy accounts. So do you want to maybe straw poll, should we add a requirement to Zulrah, let's just use Zulrah, to limit the accessibility of it? Does that make sense? Or is that too generic? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I suspect the answer would, for many, would be depends on what it is.
Of course.
But
we'll just do.
Let's assume it's something reasonable.
It will probably be something as reasonable as getting the combat levels.
Or a Song of the Elves requirement, people might not like that.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Song of the Elves.
I think that would be a bit
suggested
too,
lately, but I said it was a bit much.
Yeah, I think it's put a little bit too far.
Especially when so many people already have like pets and all that and mutagens and all that stuff without having done the quest, it'll be a little bit weird.
So while that straw poll is going on, I'm going to move on to the next question from Oprah. She asks, can the I don't think it's the real Oprah. Can Prifdinus rune shops prices be changed? They currently increase in a cost faster than Betty and Aubrey's shop, which requires no stats to use.
I'm unclear whether the devs who put it there intended it to be a useful source of runes or just a bit of scenery to make the town look more like a town. Because shops are expected for that kind of purpose.
Does it include runes that aren't normally purchasable in those shops, such as the ones only found in the wilderness?
I'm not too certain. I think that if it is similar, if it is the same as Betty and Aubrey's shop, which have 0 requirements, I would consider maybe making it be in line with it personally. If it somebody else mentioned the Magic Guild as well, but that actually has stat requirements on it, technically, so I'm not too upset about that in comparison. I guess it just depends on what it has in it, I think. Oh, wow. Oh, that's a big pass rate.
I didn't expect that one.
No, I didn't. Should we add a requirement to Zulrah to limit accessibility? 88% of people say yes and 12% say no.
It has actually, of course, been noted that you need to have done a fair bit of the Elf series to get there in the first place.
Yes, that is true. That is... I want to say it's a little surprising. Well, not super surprising. We're aware that you guys are generally fine with us doing this kind of stuff because it benefits you guys.
And there's a reasonable chance if they're the kind of player who's tuned into this, then they've probably got the whatever requirement we think was worth putting on it in the first place.
That's true. I also think that, you know...
Very handy.
If you're going to attempt to fight Zulrah, by the time you've got to a point where you're that combat level and you have the items required to do so, you're probably not far off being able to do whatever requirement we probably end up putting on there.
Some people do like to go in and try and see what low level they can get to kill these bosses at.
That's true.
It depends.
I thought we'd be using an actual combat.
Yeah, we'd probably use
anyway.
another quest of some kind or a...
We normally look at diaries or other quests.
Yeah.
What's it with Hand in the Sand? I think to use the mage guild.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that's how you make friends with a Zavistic Rav. Worst name.
So yeah, pretty resounding yes on that one though. Next question, which might be nice to know for any of the PvPers who are watching. Is there any update regarding the PvP Hunter update?
You mean Bounty Hunter?
The Bounty, oh sorry, I don't know why I said PvP Hunter update.
No,
sorry, Bounty Hunter, it's written as Bounty Hunter. I can't zoom in enough. I Freudian slipped. Yes, exclamation mark BH for some more information. And Ash, have you got an update yourself on it perhaps? A little bit of information on it?
Well, we've got the first draft blog out and there's been a fair bit of feedback, especially about the rewards for it and also what, with Wilderness Slayer not being as rewarding if the plan goes ahead, requests for more rewards from that. So Mod Gambit's been collecting quite a lot of players' ideas and I expect there'll be an updated blog, not this week, but hopefully next week, before we start programming anything towards it.
Cool. Sorry about that one, guys. I don't believe I read that one wrong. It was right in front of me.
Of all the things you might have seen Bounty to mean, it could have been a lot worse.
I mean, it's because I said PvP literally the sentence beforehand. PvP Hunter coming soon.
Enjoying our close-up?
I know, this no, leave it on there, leave it on there. It's perfectly fine. A couple of chat questions to end before finishing the stream. Let's ask this one from Error Monster. They ask, should the gear... I already asked that one. Breath asks, what is the opinion of other weapon besides scimitars? Is the power and accuracy of spears, for example, on par with scimitars? I think they're asking... with that question more, is there any opportunity of rebalancing those kind of stuff?
In theory, yes. I think it depends what we do.
They sort of already are balanced based on what you're killing. Obviously, you wouldn't usually go kill dragons with a scimitar. You obviously could, but you probably prefer to use something more pointy like a rapier or a Zamorak Haster, for example. So they sort of already are balanced, but obviously the Scimitar is always going to be the best because slash is what most things are weak to anyway. It's sort of a hard thing to balance.
Cool. Speak English asks, any chance we can decant half pieces of cake and pies to make a full one? I have hundreds of half pieces banked.
Have you ever tried to put 2 half pies together? The filling just falls out everywhere.
Unless your pie is very, very dry. Cake, on the other hand, might be reasonable.
I'm not doing decant code again.
Yeah, Maz had to do a lot of decanting code before, and I think we can say with certainty that she will not be doing any more of it.
You know what? It's hit 6 o'clock, and clearly in the past 5 minutes my reading capability has completely diminished. So I'm going to call that the end of question gathering and answering.
So if they type exclamation mark PvP Hunter, they'll get some updates.
Exclamation mark BH for any updates on Bounty Hunter, and exclamation mark RuneFest if you want to come along to RuneFest, say hi, see our presentation. Yeah, see us. Which is always really weird to say, I think. Sometimes I was like, come see us.
Yeah. Like, up close and personal.
Not too close and not too personal.
There was that guy who got me to sign his chest. Yeah, okay.
Come by, Ash a drink. As everybody see, we walk. You know what? Ash is the only person who gets drunk that night because he's the only person who gets beers bought for him. There's so much alcohol given to Ash. He's usually like double parked all night, and he's balancing the other one on his head.
Glad you didn't say the usual term.
Yes, that's, yeah.
As he's making a kind of tea sign.
Oh, that means it's 6 o'clock.
It means that we like tea instead.
So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was better than the previous few weeks' streams. We did do a full, essentially 60-odd minutes, about 55 minutes of questions. If you want to know a little bit about the update coming out tomorrow with LMS, as well as some of the upcoming rewards that will also be coming out tomorrow, that will be polled in the future for more LMS expansions, jump to the start of the stream and have a little listen to that. On that note, though, I'm going to thank you all so much for watching. Guys, thank you so much on the stream. ModMaz for gathering questions in the chat. Thanks to our wonderful producer, Mod John, and then you guys, of course, for being your lovely selves, as you always are, of course. So thank you so much. Love you guys. Keep being yourself. Have a fun week. Take care. Bye-bye. Come to RuneFest. Oh, no, go away. No.